Hi everyone, my name is Marie-Claude Boudreault and I'm very happy that you're here today. First, let me introduce myself. I'm from the beautiful city of Quebec in Canada. I'm an engineer and I work as a strategic counselor in the information resources field. I'm also passionate about business intelligence, photography, art, and learning. I love sharing what I learned to help teams grow together. I'm very excited today to talk to you about co-development, a very efficient method, and how we can use it right now in the actual context and benefit from it. First, let me ask you something. Please take a moment and think of a time when you encountered a difficult situation at work. Could be a project that didn't seem to get starting, a conflict with a colleague, an organizational change to manage, or it could be something else. Something you didn't know what to do with, where you did not have the experience or knowledge required, and you felt stuck. Now, I hope eventually you managed to find your way through it. But what if at that time you would have had access to a group of 6 or 7 managers and professionals sitting all together for 3 uninterrupted hours, fully dedicated to helping you find a way through with your situation? Whether you needed an action plan, some advice, a new perspective on your situation, some challenging questions, at the end of those 3 hours, you would come up with a plan. Well, this is what co-development is. I'm hoping by now you're at least a little intrigued. Now I have another question for you. What do a lawyer, a stay-at-home mom, a gardening architect, an international worker, an engineer, and a retired manager have in common? Think a minute. What's your guess? Well, if you said a co-development group, congratulations, you were right. They were actually part of my co-development group. At the time, we were all board members of different nonprofit organizations, and we applied to be a part of this group. I had no idea what I was getting into, but I had just finished a training program for women on nonprofit organization boards, and although the theory was very useful, I still felt like I needed something more applied to reality. Then we had our first session, and I was struck by how amazing it was. Here's what made me love co-development. It's a really efficient method to solve a problem. I always learned something, even when I wasn't the one presenting a problem. It also reinforced my self-esteem by making me realize that I could bring useful ideas and solutions to the table. It made me realize that there can be so many different angles to see a problem and that they can all be true at the same time. Sometimes we think we know what our problem is and what we need to solve it, but very often we come out to realize that the problem is not where we think it is. And taking a step back, trying to explain it to other people, we end up realizing we had it all wrong. Another thing that is great with this is that when people give advice or share experience, it's during a roundtable, and people can't argue with each other. They're asked to focus on the clients exclusively and to let others share their advice as well. I'm not the only one who thinks co-development is great for organizations and for people. According to the Quebecer Professional Co-Development Association, here are some of the organizational and individual benefits they noted. For the organizational benefits, they have things such as accelerated and agile change management, skill development like questioning, listening, helping, and collaborating, breaking down silos, better collaboration between teams, better understanding of the other people's challenges and reality, commitment and mobilization towards the organization. As for the individual benefits, here are a few. Getting into action and making decisions, reinforcing self-confidence, acting with courage, developing creative and innovative problem solving, practicing collaborative leadership, taking a step back from your professional practice, and getting new and different perspectives on your situation. So what is co-development exactly? I hear you thinking. Well, here's how it works. A group of 5 to 8 people reunite each month for approximately 3 hours and work together to help one of the group members, considered as the client, with a problem. The other members act as consultants, helping the client to evolve. This session is well structured in 7 steps and is orchestrated by the moderator. Each step is important and allows the client to keep moving forward, to take a step back, to clarify a situation, to formulate the need for help, to listen, to think, and to make a plan. At the next session, the client presents the outcomes of his actions. The same group will stay together until each member has had the chance to be the client once. So these are the 7 steps of a co-development session, and we'll see them one by one later on. So we have the subject preparation, the description of the subject, the clarification process, the contract, the roundtable, the synthesis and action plan, the learnings and evaluation sharing, and the return on last session. And then we start all over again. So know that the steps are the same for each session and that the moderator is the one making sure that the rules are being followed. Talking about the moderator, here are the 2 other roles in a group. The client, who has a problem to solve, and the rest of the group is considered as the consultants. I will now explain to you each step of a session, and what better way to explain something than with an example. The example given is from this book, Collaborer et agir, mieux et autrement, by Nathalie Sabourin and France Lefebvre. This book is very well written, full of examples and with many useful tools. I chose this example because it illustrates so well the benefits of co-development. This example is based on a real case. A few days before the session, the client and the moderator will talk to choose a subject. The moderator could ask questions such as, when you chose to join this group, what part of your professional practice did you want to make better? What made you choose this subject to work with the group? What are your expectations with this session? How do you feel towards this situation? In this example, the subject of the session is the management of a multidisciplinary and matricial team responsible for implementing change in business processes. The client is encountering a lot of resistance among his team and can't seem to mobilize them around a common objective. His goal is to reduce resistance in his team and to make the project move forward. His demand for help to the group is that he needs advice and good practice examples to diminish resistance in his team. During the clarification step, the consultants ask questions such as, what would be the ideal situation? What have you done up to now? What were the results? What risks are you facing? What do you control? And what don't you control? During the contract step, the consultants will take a few minutes to write down what they understood of the client's need, and then they say it to the group. In this example, here's what the consultant said. You're trying to find ways to convince your boss to help you make things easier for you to lead your project. I'm not sure about the clarity of your project's goal. If I were your boss, I'm not sure I would understand your need. I understand that you are pushing on a project that has not yet been validated by your boss. This brings confusion and diminishes your influence on your team members, which report to other managers than you. After listening to the consultants, the client reformulates his contract. I need advice, strategies, and creative ideas to make my boss aware of my project and to make him endorse it, so that I get his support with it. During the roundtable, the consultants share their ideas and past experiences to help the client. Here are some of the things that were shared. Make a diagnosis of the situation, document progress up to now, and obstacles and possible options. Redefine the size of change implementation and prepare different scenarios that will be presented to his boss. Evaluate risks and impacts on the project on the organization. At the end of this step, the moderator asks the client to identify the actions he will prioritize. He also asked the consultants to think of the advice they could apply in their own jobs. For the synthesis and action plan step, in our example, the client realized that his project definition was unclear, that he had maybe overestimated the organization's capacity of changing so fast. His action plan was to make a diagnosis of the situation, to get some allies with his project, and to validate the project's definition and goal with his boss by presenting more realistic scenarios. During the learnings and evaluation step, the consultants share their reflections, and the moderator will ask questions to stimulate discussion, such as, if you were in this situation, what would you do? What are the lessons learned about team mobilization? At the beginning of the next session, the moderator invites the client of the previous session to explain what he did from his action plan and what were the learnings he got out of it. The consultants are also asked to share what they kept from the last session learnings. Then a new session starts, back to step 1. Not so long ago, this is what co-development looked like. A bunch of people getting together and working together on a problem. But now we need to rethink the way we meet and collaborate using collaboration platforms such as Zoom or Teams. So now your meetings look more like this. It can sometimes be challenging and certainly requires some adaptation. But here is why I think co-development is compatible with this new reality. The sessions are very structured. The moderator makes sure that the steps are being followed and that people speak at their turn. He helps the group by asking questions to stimulate the discussions. The speaking turns are clear and definite, and everyone has their turn to speak. The key is to have a great moderator. There is even a bonus to it. Distance is no longer a problem with your group. You probably already heard this African saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I think you're better off with a group to solve a problem. And because, like a philosopher said, none of us knows what we know all together. So, are you interested? I hope you'll want to try it. Get into action, and thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.